Hey, here we go. Check this out.
This is Whole Nother Level with Dwayne Lindo.
You know, frankly, I feel that we shouldn't even be talking about this. Simple as that.
The great L. Bushman.
They'd have to make so many adjustments, but I don't know what they have to do. They need a miracle. They need a miracle.
Our girl, Kristen Yalwin.
Yeah, it's going to be another show. Britney Spears has her show in Vegas. The Raiders are going to have their show in Vegas.
Frank Mazzei.
Did they win the offseason in free agency? Yes. What does that mean? Absolutely nothing.
Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Craig Cousin.
How can you not put Tom Brady number one on the Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks? Man, this guy's a legend. Rings speak.
And Derek Wilson.
I didn't know Eric was going to let you talk.
Don't hate the player, hate the game. I've seen enough Facebook posts to know that you're not a Giants fan. Let's go. And welcome everyone to another edition of Whole Nother Level right here at Co-Work, Florida. Beautiful Lakewood Ranch. This is Whole Nother Level. I am joined by the cast of characters, including the one and only. He's joining us. Well, not Craig Cousin, but Dwayne Lindo's in the house today.
Oh, yeah, man.
What's up, man?
Sunny day out, and, we're inside, but, it's good to be with the fellas.
I haven't seen you since Super Bowl Sunday, brother. You all right?
Man,
everything good?
I've been hiding in my bedroom like a hermit, not coming out, not trying to see anyone.
Is there a reason why you've been looking at Yorkshire Terriers again? You looking at
We're
dogs
going to bring
again?
this up again.
Yes, we are.
We brought this up during Super Bowl
We
and
did.
prior to Super Bowl.
Yes.
And we're going to bring this up again.
You're never going to live this down.
No. That's
Never.
why your name will always be Scribbles. Anyhow, sitting
Okay.
next to him, factual Frank Mazzei in the building. Tall cup of coffee. Long night last night, Frank?
Huh?
Long night last night. Tall cup of coffee there, bro.
Oh, no. Well, it would have been a tall cup of coffee even if it was a short night.
Okay. All right. Just wanted to make sure. And as always, we got him here with us. See this man 6 days a week, yet he still wants to
see you
put up
more
with me.
than you see your own wife.
I know. He is the great L. Bushman. But, I'm giving you a reprieve next week, my brother.
I know you're finally out of the building. Finally.
I know. I'm leaving. I'll be gone for 4 days. You going to miss me?
No.
No?
No.
He'll miss me when I come back on
No.
Tuesday.
I'll see you. You know what? I'll drive you to the airport, and I'll see you get on the plane.
That's
and just
okay.
wave.
My wife is taking me to the airport. I don't need that. Thank you very much. But
That's fine.
So you're really not going to miss him?
no, he's not. No,
Man.
listen, we see each other enough.
We all need a week away from people we.
Yeah, you guys are like husband and wife.
No.
Come on.
No, it's not like that. Not even. You and Frank are probably like that. You guys work a lot together.
You have a point. You have a point.
I mean, I know Frank just kind of waves at you as you're walking by. Frank's like, yeah, okay. See you later.
Right. And we don't see each other, it's few and far between. So, yeah.
It got to the point where at work, because he used to sit behind me, he actually moved himself 2 spaces up from me because we see so much of each other.
Yeah, I get up to see the back of that bald head. I'm like, nah, bro. I got to go. I got to move.
It's not totally bald. It's thinning.
Yeah, Rogaine, brother.
It's thinning.
Get some.
No,
You need
you know
some.
what? I'm
Wow.
going to go natural, go where nature intends to go.
Okay.
And if it needs to be shaved off, it'll be. See, and you're looking at Yorkshire Terriers.
Are you really? Seriously?
No, it just happened to be open. It's funny.
That's
that
it- it's
I
his
had
wallpaper.
this thing
No,
open. You know what?
no, it's one of his favorites.
Yeah.
Dwayne, do you have a tattoo of a Yorkshire Terrier?
No, he's got one. Have you seen his little dog?
No, I've never
he,
seen
yeah,
your
he
dog.
has
you
one.
Have, oh, you actually have one?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Cute little thing.
Okay, then I'm not going to think it's one.
Won't ever leave you alone. If you get excited, piss on your shoe. But
Yeah,
I mean,
it'll
I'm
lick
just
you to
saying.
death.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. But we are here every Saturday from noon till 1. You can check us out on Spreaker.com. Search HNL3. We're also on iTunes, YouTube. What else are we on? Raw Talk
Are
Online.
we really on YouTube yet?
Yeah, we're on. Listen, I post the show every week. We on YouTube.
Oh, okay. I know we're trying to get more interactive with. We're going to be like live streaming our pretty faces and everything soon.
We are soon enough. Yeah, most of us.
Then,
we gotta,
then I think you can say we're actually on YouTube.
Okay, fine. We're not on YouTube as of yet, but you can always listen to the replay, www.hnl3.com. So, gentlemen, I kind of want to start the conversation in a very interesting place today. Do you have it teed up, ready to go?
No, I didn't know we were going to go into that first.
Okay. Well, all right, then
I'll tee it up anyway.
thank you.
When I
So,
let you know.
as we all know, this past week, the quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Jameis Winston, spoke at a local St. Petersburg school. And I just want everybody to kind of take a step back and not be so quick to judge based on the words that he said. Because I think if you take the whole thing in its entire totality, I really feel like you have an understanding. Now, granted, he did not choose the best choice of words.
You think?
He didn't. and we're going to talk about this, but Great Al Bushman, I wanted you to cue this up because I wanted people.
It's almost queued up. Hold on.
All right.
Stupid ad is coming up and everything.
All right. I just want people to listen to this
Powered
first.
Associates.
But that's great insight on your part, though. I don't think it was a great choice of words.
I'm just saying. I mean, he said that what we're working on here to for all of our listeners, and if you haven't heard it, I'm just saying I kind of go back and forth with it. I really do, because you have to understand the place where he was coming from and really give it the full scope of things.
And that's part of it. And you got to put into the factor that the age of the kids he's talking to as well.
Exactly.
So, I mean, obviously, that's a big factor.
It is. Are you ready?
Hold on.
All right.
It's almost there.
Oh, okay.
The problem is, and whether it's fair or not, it's the same with like Ndamukong Suh. You don't get the benefit of the doubt based on your previous track records. Vontez Burke, I know it's completely different things.
No, you're right.
But in the same context with Jameis, it's hard. People are going to have a hard time giving him the benefit of the doubt when you say something like that and you've been accused of rape. You yelling obscenities and in front of people, shooting people on the quad with BB guns or whatever it was, just stealing. I mean, it's hard to give when it truly is probably just as you said, a poor choice of words. People are going to be like, that's who he is.
It's like OJ endorsing like Ginsu knives or something like that.
It's like,
what, too soon?
yeah.
Too soon? Come on.
I thought it was hilarious. All right, so we good?
Oh, yeah, we're good.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, here is Jameis Winston talking to the school kids. We're going to listen to it, and then the four of us are going to give you how we feel. So go ahead, thanks.
Okay, I know I got a lot of people like this. All my boys, all my young boys, stand up, man. The ladies sit down, sit down. But all my boys, stand up. We strong, right?
I know he had good intentions, but I think it just came out wrong.
Just tell me one time. I can do anything I put my mind to. A lot of boys don't supposed to be soft-spoken. You know what I'm saying? One day y'all gonna have a very deep voice like this. Right now y'all talking like this, but one day y'all have a very, very deep voice. But the ladies, they supposed to be silent, polite, gentle. But my men supposed to be
We're not
strong.
on. You got us cut off.
Okay, so I want y'all to tell me what the third rule of life is. I can do anything I put my mind to. Scream it.
And that was the clip.
Okay, that's the clip. So, all right, so we heard it. So,
I can see where he was going with it. I just think it came out the wrong way.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people are thinking, for a guy that was accused of what he was accused of FSU, and I know, of course, he wasn't charged in anything. He was just accused. They settled out of court. And I know a lot of people know him as that type of dude that would, women should do this. I just think he just, kind of had word diarrhea there for a second.
Well, that's just the bottom line.
Good intention just came out wrong.
Right. You guys just said it. He had good intentions. There's no mistake with that. But the fact is, you have to think before you speak. You're in front of a group of children. I'm not sure which grade. I think they were in 5th grade or 6th grade, if I'm not mistaken.
3rd through 5th.
3rd through 5th
is what I've understood. Yeah.
So you're in front of these kids. It's fine that you have the boys stand up, have the girls sit down, but it has to be age appropriate, so to speak. This, for the most part, wasn't age appropriate. Simple as that.
Here's my thing. Did you hear the little girl? I don't know if y'all caught it, but there's a little girl when he first told the little girls to sit down. There's a little girl in the background going, "What?"
No, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, I caught it actually when I listened to it just now. There was a little girl saying that. So
hey, Jameis is trying to keep this thing in check. I mean, because before you know it, they're going to have jobs and be able to vote and do all kinds of stuff.
Right. So listen,
I'm kidding.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm not particularly a fan of how this went down, but here's what I will say. If after he came out and went from, being the college, I'll just say knucklehead that we knew him to be, if it would have continued on into the NFL and he didn't try to repair his image, then I think this would just have been a typical, this is just Winston being Winston. But look at what he's done since he got into the league. granted, he had everything that was still carried over from FSU with all the charges that were brought against him and, settled out of court.
He wasn't charged with anything.
Okay, not the charges, but the allegations that were made against him. And all of that kind of was, I won't say swept under the rug, but it was handled and dealt with. But as we always say, and Frank, I'll quote you, the cure-all for all of this was winning. He turned a 2-14 team into a 6-win team. And then this year,
9-17.
9-17. So he was trying to boost his team. Now, this is a guy who, and we've listened to some of his emotional speeches that he gives to his team. In this particular situation, and I know there are going to be a lot of people who are going to get upset with what I'm about to say, but this is how I feel. If you got a problem with it, 813-699-5353. Chime in. I want to hear from you. But this is how I feel about it. This is solely my opinion. I think Jameis had good intentions, but because of who he is, and because of, and I hate to use upbringing and environment as a crutch, but I'm going to do it in this particular situation, he didn't mean no harm by it. He was simply trying to empower young boys. Boys, not young boys, boys. He was trying to empower them. Slighting no disrespect to the women, to the girls, but he just needed somebody, or he took on the mantra of, I'm going to be the one to empower these boys because I want them to grow and I want them to know that, you know what, you're supposed to be strong. You're supposed to be outspoken. How many times have we, just anybody, said nothing as opposed to doing something?
With all the things that Jameis has done off the field, his leadership credentials have never been questioned by anybody. As just a locker room leader and being, stepping up, talking to teammates and being a team first kind of guy in that regard, I've never heard anybody criticize him as not being a leader. And I think, one, he said that he was focusing on a couple of boys and that he didn't want, and he was losing their attention.
Right.
And he did not want to single them out and make them stand up on their own. So rather than, point to that one or two boys, he had all the boys stand up to do that because, and a lot of it, as you said, Eric, his upbringing, he is a leader. I mean, somebody taught him leadership abilities, and that's probably what he saw growing up. Men, you're a man. You're supposed to this, and that. You provide, you lead, you do. These are the things that you do as a man. So I'm sure I agree with you. I think it's his wording of it, but also we live in a time now. You can't say nothing wrong. You can't make a mistake anymore.
You can't.
If you say you need your own speechwriter, your own public relations person to just follow you around wherever you go, because if you say one thing stupid now, everybody's just they're waiting for the dog pile on you, and it's like, I mean, he's a football player. I mean, not to say that football players aren't smart and that they're not articulate and can't do all these things, but come on. I mean,
look, all he needs to do is win a few games. Frankly, this is going to be under the rug and not even talked about in another 2 to 3 weeks. I really don't think. And come next season, once he wins a few games, if he wins a few games, I'm hoping good things for the Bucs.
A few games?
Wins a few
here we
games.
go.
The Giants fans need to sit down, be silent, and polite.
Look, I'm not meaning any disrespect here. I'm just saying he wins a couple games right off the bat. This is just an afterthought.
Poor choice of words by Dwayne Lindo.
About this. Frankly, I don't even think anyone's going to remember this in 2 or 3 weeks from now.
Dwayne,
there are going to be other stories going on.
This will be done by next week.
Right.
And I was thinking about this. He's so glad he didn't do this at a college campus or a high school campus, like telling girls to sit down and be silent, especially if he was at a college campus doing that. But, you guys alluded to this. Is just kind of word diarrhea. He had good intentions about it.
And he
apologized quick, too.
He owned up to it right away. As opposed to shuffling it off or kind of skating by with it, he you know what? I apologize. Poor choice of words by me.
I mean, give a little credit. I mean, he's actually taking his own time. I mean, I can't imagine that he was forced to do this or this was some kind of community service maybe in some plea deal. I doubt it. I mean, he's actually trying to give back to the community and be what we want athletes to be. It just, again,
didn't come out the way it's planned.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Like I said, I just wanted to start the conversation there because it was, something that happened and we're going to talk about it. So, all right, let me ask y'all a question. Frank, I'm actually going to go to you on this one. The NBA trade deadline is officially over. Can you tell me what you saw? Because honestly, I thought some moves were going to be made that weren't. And did anybody, in your opinion, stand out as a clear winner in this trade and with the trade deadline?
I can't say a clear winner just because I don't think any of the moves that any team made really puts them ahead of a Cleveland or a Golden State. Did a couple of teams improve themselves a little, in my opinion? Yeah. I mean, look, Oklahoma City, I like them getting Taj Gibson. I think, he helps them, but does he make them a contender in the West? I mean, not really. Toronto, I mean, getting Serge Ibaka is.
How did Orlando let that happen?
Because Orlando's stupid and they don't know how to manage a team.
Seriously,
Orlando.
We need to add Orlando to the Sacramento Kings list of we gonna buy both these two teams for like 50 cents one and 75 cents for the other, because I saw this trade go down and I'm like, really? This is what you did?
Well, because they just gave him a whole bunch of money last year. I mean, he just signed him under contract, and then I don't know if they thought that they were going to contend like right away, that he was the missing answer, the piece to the puzzle. But I didn't have a huge problem with it in that regard because they weren't going to do anything with him, and if they get his salary off the books, I mean, but yeah, they don't know what they're doing there in the front office of Orlando. But Dallas getting Nerlens Noel from Philly.
We got rid of another center. Thank you.
I'm not saying again that he's going to be great, but you never know. I mean, he's been injured and had his own issues, but if he turns out to be what he was projected to be coming out of college, then I think they got a steal there.
Listen, we still got Joel Embiid, who's supposed to be out 4 weeks. Ben Simmons isn't going to play at all this season.
Yeah,
he's out. They're not even going to try with him.
No,
there's no point.
No.
I mean, someone said to me the other day about the Sixers. I'm like, who? I'm like, what? They're like, wait, you're a Philly? I'm a Philly guy, but I don't want to talk about the Sixers. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, what I thought was interesting, though, with the trade deadline was Paul George's name out there. Like, I'm like, man, dude, he's your best. I mean, he's Indiana's best player, and he can't be happy about, hearing all the, he's going to Boston. The Lakers have reached out. And
Chicago
it's like,
has too.
Yeah,
I was really surprised that trade didn't get pulled off.
I was like,
Jimmy Butler.
Dude, if I'm Jimmy Butler, I'm not real happy, but I would have liked if Boston could have got Jimmy Butler. Man. I'm guessing they just didn't want to give up, like probably Jay Crowder and everything. And look, Boston's going to be they might get the Brooklyn Nets #1 pick.
I think Boston's going to be okay.
Yeah,
even though they didn't make any moves, they're still going to be all right.
Yeah, they're still. I mean, they're not beating Cleveland anyhow, but they're probably still just them standing pat. They're still the second best team in the East.
Maybe you say that above Toronto?
Huh?
Yeah,
above Toronto. You're saying Boston is a better team.
I think so. Yeah.
But I mean, don't they shoot themselves in the foot not making? Because I saw that they didn't. They stood where they were. Nothing was changed. I mean,
they really didn't need to make any moves, to be honest with you. I mean, and especially in the East, they're locked into the second seed. The team I think that's going to probably get a little bit better is the Cavs, because if getting Deron Williams off of waivers happens, they're going to have a guy coming off the bench. You're going to get at least 20 minutes off of him. So I don't think Boston really need to made a trade.
I mean, look, Boston going into next year, I mean, like I said,
they're stacked.
They could get Brooklyn's #1 pick. They could have the #1 pick in the draft and be the second overall seed and still have plenty of cap money. I mean, hopefully they actually pull the trigger and make a deal, because they've just been stockpiling all these draft picks. But look, I'll give them some credit, because we get on Philly and those teams for rebuilding and rebuilding and rebuilding. Look, Boston, okay, they went down, 1 year, maybe 2, Brad Stevens' first year, and then his second year, you're like, wait a minute, how he's winning games with who's playing for that team?
Right.
To where now they're like, I mean, they get an Al Horford who's not a superstar in that regard, but hey, they got a lot of really good players, and if they could just get, I mean, damn, I mean, like having the number 1 draft pick, and then you sign somebody in the offseason, that's you're a scary team going into next season.
So let's flip to the West side since we did the Eastern Conference. Let's flip to the Western Conference. So now we started to see the quote-unquote Twin Towers that exist between Anthony Davis and Boogie. They lost by 30 the other night, but Boogie still put up a considerable, I think, like 27-8 or something like that. So, I mean,
don't rule them out just yet. I mean,
Right.
it's
they
the
still have
first
to gel
game. It's the first game with his new team, and they've got to get acclimated with each other in this. I mean, he played a great game. You see the stuff he did on.
No,
James Harden?
I was watching the highlights, but then again, you're playing Houston, and Houston to me, minus Dwight Howard this year, Houston is a team that I'm saying be careful where they're seated once the postseason happens, because I think if they get the right combination, they might actually wind up in the Western Conference. I'm not saying
What did you
that
say?
The finals?
Western Conference Finals.
Oh,
Thank
right,
you.
yeah.
So you're saying New Orleans going to be in there?
No. I'm talking about Houston.
Oh, okay, Houston.
What I'm saying to you is I'm looking at OKC, Golden State, and Houston being two out of those 3 teams are going to be in the Western Conference Final. It just depends on where they're seated. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm looking at. That's just me. But going back to the Pelicans, you have them, Great L. Bushman, sliding in probably at the number 8 seed. Frank, you said you had them a little higher, probably 7, maybe even 6.
No, I'll
7.
I'll go back to 8.
You'll go back to 8.
I'll go to 8. Yeah,
based on what you've seen.
I didn't realize how far Oklahoma City was ahead of the 8 seed at number 7. Look, this is probably one of the first years we can say this. The 8 seed in the West has a losing record, and usually that doesn't happen. In
never
the West.
happens.
Yeah. So the West is really good at the top, but it's not good from 1 to 8 like in years past. And look, I'm never going to throw the Spurs out because they're always going to have a shot. But besides, look, I think the Clippers for me I've seen enough. They ain't doing anything.
They're not. So they're one and done if they get in.
Yeah, I can't imagine, depending where they wind up. But yeah, there's only a couple of contenders in the West.
So what about the possibility of, we touched on this Tuesday on our show, the possibility of CP3 going to the Lakers next season? Now, because Magic just did hire a general manager.
He did.
For the Lakers.
Yep.
So do you think they're kind of circling the wagon, so to speak, and kind of saying, what do we need to do? Since, like you said, they've seen everything they can possibly see out of CP3 with the Clippers. Maybe we need to bring him to the other LA team.
I mean, look, anytime you have a chance to get a point guard like that, I mean, it's going to be a good thing, but I don't know. It depends what you can get him for. I mean, I'm not giving Chris Paul max deal, not at his age and not with, injuries and everything that he's had throughout his career. Do I think he's a very good point guard? Yes, but the Lakers he's not he's not going to come in and turn that team around.
He's not the heir apparent.
They need a whole lot of stuff. So I think Magic I'm sure he knows that and he's looking at that. They're going to have to go through a process. And I know they tried to get Paul George and that would have helped, but they need, like I said, if they're talking about contending, you got to look at that team up there in Northern California as the standard right now, and they got a whole lot of stars. So the Magic has a whole lot of work to do.
Okay. All right, well, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to touch a little more on the NBA, of course. I'm sure somehow, some way, we'll find a way to talk about the NFL just because we all here love football. But you're listening to us, Whole Nother Level. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Whole Nother Level right here at Co-Work, Florida. Dwayne is with us along with the Factual Frank and the Great L. Bushman. All right, gentlemen, I want to stay in the NBA, talk to you. We talked during the break about records and where we think seeding and teams are going to show up. Frank, you made a good point. You thought that the Utah-Houston matchup might be good for the first round.
Utah Clippers,
excuse me. That is the 4-5 currently right now, so that would actually be very interesting to see. Again, you talked on San Antonio. Didn't even realize they're only 3.5 back from Golden State. I'm like,
and that's how they want it.
and that's exactly how they have it every single year.
I was
just
going to say
like,
carbon copy of last year.
yeah.
With no Tim Duncan. I mean, they have the players, but that's exactly what Greg Popovich wants. Don't even look over here. Look at Houston down there, man. Look at all them points they're scoring. Look at Golden State. Look at what their Magic's taking over the Lakers. I mean, ain't nobody talking about the Spurs at all.
And divert all the attention other places. That's kind of the mantra.
So let me ask you guys a really strange question here. Let's say the Pelicans don't get in for some unknown reason, but the Kings do. I mean, they're only right now half a game behind the number 8 seed, which is the Nuggets. Can you actually imagine if the Kings, the Sacramento Kings, a team that Tuesday I called them the Cleveland Browns of the NBA, can you imagine if they actually got into the postseason? Could you say that karma has just somehow bit Boogie in the behind? I mean,
I think the question is, and I think we've probably discussed this before, but what is going on with the West? You've alluded to it, Eric, where the West is not the West of old. You have a team in the West right now that's in playoff contention that has a losing record. So, I mean, is it a lot of the trades that are happening within the past year that's kind of making this happen? I mean, what is the deal with the West?
I really couldn't even give you a solid answer. I mean, in years past, and you two gentlemen, Great L. Bushman, not so much you two gentlemen have heard me bitch, whine, moan, groan, and complain, and I have always stood by this feeling. If you do not have a winning record in the NBA, you should not be allowed to go to the postseason. I mean, I feel that way across all sports, but particularly with basketball. I feel like you can't be sliding in at 39-42. Or 39-43, whatever it is.
We've seen teams in the West before win 48 games
and not get in.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I mean, it is interesting to see, the makeup this year. But like I said, there's only a couple of teams in the West. Really, the rest of those teams. I mean, you could start at 8 and work your way up, and you're going to get to a pretty high number before you find a team be like, oh, yeah, they could probably win. I could see them doing it.
40. I mean, right now, the difference between the number 8 seed and I'll just go the number 4 seed, 10 games. 36-22 are the Utah Jazz. And then it goes down from there to Denver at 26-32. I mean, Houston, San Antonio, Golden State. Like, I expect Oklahoma City to have a turnaround, to maybe get themselves, okay, we need to keep going. We need to keep pushing. We need to do whatever we need to do to make sure that we are one of the top 4 teams going into the postseason. But, I mean, right now, Utah's 36-22, Clippers are 35-23, Memphis 34-25, Oklahoma City 33-25, 26-32. Dwayne, to answer your question, I honestly have to agree and say I think it is because of the trades. I think it is because of the shifting of players, so to speak. Right now, I would fully project that if everything from last year was the same this year, Oklahoma City would be in the number 3 slot behind San Antonio. And, of course, Golden State would be number 1. But now that Kevin Durant is gone and no one has really stepped up to kind of be the Robin to Russell Westbrook's Batman, so to speak, as they like to say on all these media outlets.
They don't have. I mean,
they don't have
any. I mean, it's not that they don't have talent. They only have one real legitimate player.
Right.
They've got some nice role players and guys that you want on your team, but
in a role playing position though, not as a starter.
Exactly. You don't have a Kevin Durant, a Steph Curry, or anybody else on that roster. So I didn't expect much. In fact, the fact that they're where they are, I'm actually kind of surprised that. That they're not the 8 seed. I mean, that they have a winning record. And, hey, I'll give some credit there to, to Westbrook and some Billy Donovan love, too, because, he's – granted, he had some players last year with Durant, but he looks like he can actually be an NBA coach.
All right. Speaking of the Warriors, let's talk about – apparently there's a feud going on out there, as Frank calls it, to that team to the north in California. Great L. Bushman, I'm going to defer to you on this one because you seem to have your hand kind of in this one. So this Shaq feud going on.
Yeah, okay. So Shaq does this thing each week on TNT. It's called Shaq and a Fool segment, where he just kind of pulls out. You know, it's kind of like in the NFL where they do the "Come On, Mans."
Right.
This is Shaq's version of that.
Okay.
But he always picks on McGee, where it's gotten to the point where McGee's had enough. And they've been going back and forth on Twitter. And it's gotten so bad to where TNT has stepped in. The Warriors have stepped in they reached out to TNT asking, like, you know, let's calm this thing down because it's gotten so heated. And one of the last tweets that was on, I think it was Friday, McGee tweeted out to Shaq, "Get my nuts out of your mouth and eat a dick," pretty much. And then they kept going back and forth. So it's gotten pretty bad.
Wow.
For one thing, if this looks bad upon Shaq, you are now a broadcaster. You're not in the league anymore. You're on TNT. TNT's a reputable place, especially with the NBA.
But you're an analyst.
I know you're an analyst, and I know you're trying to bring fun to the show, and their show is awesome.
Right.
You know, every night on that show, it's entertaining, but I think this has gotten to the point where it's like, come on, man.
Well, did they need something to kind of diffuse the whole Barkley, LeBron James thing that was going on forever and a day? You know, because now we've shifted from Charles Barkley and LeBron James to now Shaq and McGee. So I'm kind of curious as to why the execs of TNT.
Because it's entertaining and people tune into it. But look at it. These guys are, okay, you're ex-players. You're now, and I put this in quotations, analysts.
They've
okay?
played the game.
You played the game.
They have
you're
firsthand knowledge.
And I get it. You missed the game so much where you think you could be back in, by talking shit on Twitter. And on your huge stage and stuff, but come on. I know entertainment's entertainment, but come on.
Right. Look, I mean, you just mentioned it, Bushman. You know, the TNT is kind of the standard when it comes to NBA. You don't need that. You have the rating share. People are watching you. So it's almost like, and I hate to say this because I want to single out women, it's almost like the girl that needs all this attention.
No, it's true. It's true. Shaq does. Yeah, Shaq is like that.
Right. You don't need that attention. I mean, people are watching you. If there's an old adage, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So why garner all this attention that you don't need, especially negative attention? I don't
because
understand.
Whether it's positive or negative, it's attention.
Yeah,
right.
and it's entertainment for TNT and for people to view the NBA on TNT.
Here's the difference between when you were playing and now working for TNT. Granted, you represented the team that you played for, but TNT is way more concerned about their image and the people that are representing their company. If as an analyst, you do something to bring that kind of attention on TNT, your butt's going to be off that stage quick. I mean, they ain't putting up with that. I mean, we've seen that with ESPN, with all the other outlets, athletes, not just athletes, but employees making political statements. They're gone. Making this kind of a statement, gone. Posted this on Twitter, gone. Because they don't want, because now you're representing
TNT,
yes.
Turner Broadcasting
And
Network.
For them to have to step in just shows that, okay, come on. You're not being an analyst just making fun of this guy every time. I mean, okay, granted, he's done a lot of stupid things.
Oh, yes.
And I could see how you could fill up your segment with him every night or every week. But at some point, it's like, okay, you're not talking about his basketball ability, which, look, JaVale McGee, he's not great, but he's been averaging about 8 points, and he gets you rebounds, and Golden State needs that. They need a body down there because they don't have Bogut anymore. And so he has a role with Golden State. And, you know, maybe has he ever lived up to the potential that people thought he would? I don't think so. But he's not a horrible player. He's made some boneheaded decisions and everything. But at some point, it's like, come on. I mean.
Okay, but hold on. Before you gentlemen go any further, let me ask you one simple question. Look how long ESPN did when they had their top 10 best of the best, and then they had their top 10 worst of the worst. Mm-hmm. How long was the Mark Sanchez butt fumble?
Yeah, but that's totally totally different
thing. No,
thing.
it's not. You kept going back to the same guy. You kept going back to the same gentleman and saying, is what was done this week worse than the Mark Sanchez butt fumble. It went for so long that ESPN finally had to say, okay, enough is enough, rest in peace. The Jets never stepped in. Mark Sanchez never stepped in and said, hey, guys, you know what?
Eric, because that's a totally different thing. That's not.
How is that totally different?
This is a one single guy going after one other guy.
In one scene, you have a beef between two people.
Yeah.
The other scene, you have a player that probably deserves, all the ribbing he gets because of what transpired on the field.
You don't have a face to point to about Mark Sanchez because it's ESPN that's running that.
Okay, so what's worse is instead of it being one-on-one, you've got a whole entire global sports network against one guy. How is that better than Shaq versus McGee, which is just simply
so we can just say
two
this,
guys?
McGee's got no sense of humor, and Mark Sanchez does.
Apparently, because Mark Sanchez, he let it go for whatever reason. Whether you like him or you don't like him, whether you want him on a team or you don't want him on your team. The one thing he will be known for is Mr. Butt Fumble. And if you have a sense of humor, that's going to ride you as far as you want it to go. But McGee is saying, okay, Shaq, I'm tired of you picking on me. I'm tired of you constantly going after me. There are so many other guys in the NBA who you could go, you choose to target me for what? That's what I'm saying. I'm saying
it's not one thing though. He's picking multiple things and just going to him every week.
Yeah. It's on a weekly basis,
well,
and it's multiple things.
So stop making weekly mistakes.
But now Shaq's also threatened to smack the shit out of his mouth, too.
All right, well, so there's the line. That's what I wanted to know. Where's the line? Now I know where the line is. Shaq has said, "I'm going to physically cause you harm." Okay,
fine. That's come up in this feud. They're not just.
That's the main reason why they're. It's a huge thing now is because Shaq's almost slapped the shit out of you. Now the Warriors have asked TNT to get involved in it.
No,
the coverage of it, so it's a
now
huge thing.
I have a better understanding because before I'm thinking to myself, well, you keep making, excuse the expression, dumbass mistakes. Guess what? Somebody gonna call you out, and that someone just happens to be a guy who probably still to this day can't shoot a free throw to save his damn life. So he's been picked on. He's just passing the buck.
Wasn't one of the tweets like, basically, you can put it on my mama that I'm going to beat your ass? I mean, something. It's gotten. It's that. It's not just. It's gone way beyond.
I mean, we're still waiting on an apology from Shaq about Shaq Fu and Kazam. So
yeah,
we're still waiting on an apology from that.
Chalk it
Where's
up
my
to
apology?
The fact, you could just chalk it up to the fact which was mentioned before, the fact that I guess these two parties, mostly Shaq, wants attention. One, and two, I think they're probably coming from a standpoint, everyone loves a good beef. When's the last time you've seen a beef that hasn't been televised?
There you go.
I'm going to tweet out to Shaq
talked
right now.
about.
There you go.
So, I mean,
that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, and I think that's a part of the reason.
Yeah.
I'm going to tweet out to Shaq right now.
Okay.
Where's my apology for Kazam?
All right.
I heard somebody say this yesterday. You can take so much. At some point, it gets old. And I get it, with the butt fumble, that play or whatever. That's one play and one clip. But when one person is continually singling you out and commenting on you, at some point you're going to be like, all right, man, look, I'm a man. So, you need to find something else because you're not just being an analyst anymore. It just looks more personal.
Okay,
in that
and
regard.
that's fine.
Yeah.
So the best way to handle that, you know what you do? The best way to handle that, if you're McGee, put on your fresh suit because I know you got the money for it, and you go to TNT and say, I want to be on the show. And that way me and Shaq can handle this. We can handle it right now. That's what you do. He's an NBA guy, and they constantly bring NBA players onto the show.
They do.
So you know what? You have your agent, if you're McGee, reach out to TNT and say, you know what? I want to come on the show. If Shaq backs down from that, from you being man enough to go up there and say, you know what? Let's handle this like men. You got a problem with what I do, then fine. Let's talk about it. If Shaq backs down, then guess what? You know who the better man is in this situation. And from that point on, the bottom line is I was willing to meet this man, talk to him, not get into a fight, not get into an altercation, not do anything of a negative manner. I simply wanted to approach him and simply look at him and say, what's up? Why me? Why has it always got to be about me? Now, if you can't do that, then there's a problem. But see, it's gone past that. Now we're talking about physical altercation. I agree with you. TNT needs to suspend Shaq for the rest of the season if he's going to put words like that on Twitter. They need to find somebody else to come in and be like, you know what? Until this gets resolved or until we figure this out, guess what, Shaq, you're done. Because you're tarnishing our image right now.
We've seen guys get suspended for less on other sports shows. I mean,
so men and women.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but.
There we go. I just tweeted out to Shaq.
You did?
Yes.
All right. Awesome. So, the game tonight, there's a big game tonight, Chicago and Cleveland. And now there's talk that LeBron might not play tonight because of illness.
He ain't sick.
Listen, I don't know.
They need to beat Chicago.
LeBron is questionable for tonight's game against the Bulls. And then, of course, there's that friendship that still exists between D. Wade and LeBron. Let me ask you, gentlemen, who do you think's going to win tonight, whether LeBron plays or doesn't play? Cleveland, Chicago. Who y'all got winning this game?
I mean, you have Cleveland on a 4-game win streak, Chicago 3-game win streak. This is a great matchup. Obviously, you have the two big parties with, you just mentioned it, Eric, Wade, and LeBron. Even though LeBron may not be playing, those two guys coming back together. So this is going to be an epic game. It's going to be tough for Cleveland, I would imagine. If you don't have LeBron in the lineup, you would think that Dwayne Wade, even as old as he is, but he's getting the job done in Chicago. For the most part, they're at 500. They'll obviously make the playoffs. You're asking me for a prediction. I would just have to go with Chicago.
Frank, who you got in this game?
I'll go with the Cavs. I think even though, look, I like some of the moves that Chicago's done in regards, but I'm a big Jimmy Butler fan. But I don't think they're a legitimate contender in the East. And look, LeBron needs to take the night off. He's been playing like almost every minute of every game because, you know, with Kevin Love not being out, and they've had some bumps. I mean, I still think they're a lock in the East, but they got some problems. I mean, but I'll go with the Cavs.
Great old Bushman.
I'm going with the Cavs only because they need to beat Chicago. They've had really, really a lot of trouble against Chicago. It's Cavs.
So we're actually going to we're going to split this down the middle here because, you know, it's very rare that Dwayne and I agree on much, but we do agree on this. I like the hometown tonight. I like Chicago to really step up their game a little bit, and the fact that if LeBron doesn't play, this is one of those moments where they look at the team and say, okay, we need to capitalize on this situation because should we see them again, you already know LeBron's going to get turned up, and he going to take it to, as our show is aptly named, a whole nother level. So
you know you're going to hear from Pablo about that, right?
That's fine. I'm perfectly fine hearing from Pablo about it. Pablo, if you're listening, my brother, it's nothing personal. It's just a game. But feel free to call and chime in, 813-699-5353. And I actually did forget to mention, I want to let everybody listening to us know, March 11th, whole nother level going to be live at J-Dubs off of 12th and 301.
I love their beer.
For spring training.
So good.
This is a great bunch of guys, and they're expanding here in the local Sarasota, Bradenton area. But we are going to be there doing a live baseball show right before the the Orioles are playing the Pirates at Ed Smith right down the road. So come check us out, have a few beers with us, listen to some good baseball talk, go to the game. And then actually that night, it's funny, one of my favorite comedians, Mr. John DeCrosta, is actually going to be at McCurdy's. So I'm actually going to be spending pretty much my entire day in the area. I'm going to be J-Dubs.
You'll be hammered.
Then the game. Probably going to grab some dinner, so I'm not hammered.
You're going to the game too?
I'm trying to go to the game, yeah. Why, you got an extra ticket?
No.
Oh. Yeah, I'm trying to go to the game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I have a question to ask you guys. This past week, Syracuse beat Duke.
Oh, man.
Okay.
Well, but it's not
What a game.
It's not about, it's about after the game.
Men or women's?
Men's.
Okay.
It was Syracuse won on a last-second three.
Yeah.
Which was purely by luck.
And not to cut you off, but for the folks for the North Carolina fans and folks who just hate Duke in general, let me just tell you, what a game. That's all I can say.
Well, see, I'm a Duke fan. Huge Duke fan.
Are you?
I'm a huge Duke fan.
Wow. I didn't know that.
My fondest memory is...
Jumping the bandwagon, huh?
No. My
Okay.
fondest memory is staying up late and watching the Duke-Kentucky game when Leitner hit that shot.
Christian. Don't
So
like
I want to ask you a question.
Sure.
Is it stupid to get on the court during regular season after if like an unranked team beats a ranked team? Stupid or cool?
If a unranked team beats a ranked team
during regular season.
Regular season.
Is it stupid or is it cool?
It depends on the team. Because it's Duke, I'm assuming is a team that lost? Or Duke won?
Duke lost.
Duke lost.
Last second 3.
Duke lost to an unranked Syracuse.
But Syracuse is a good team, though.
They are. They've made some headway in the postseason the past couple of years. I'm surprised they're not ranked. But anyhow.
Well, this will probably bump them into the,
to
the dance,
like
to the
20,
tournament.
Their record's not really great.
It's not?
No.
Okay.
But they've had signature wins against good teams.
They have.
They
Yeah.
All
beat
right.
Florida State, now they beat Duke, so this might get them in the tournament. Maybe.
They slid in like that last year too. Because they're only 3 or 4 games above 500.
Okay.
So it's not like they're setting the world on fire. They're like 17 and 14, kind of in that in that range.
I think conference has a lot to do with it too because they're in one of the top 4 conferences. So
All right, but to answer your question, I'm saying because you beat Duke, hell yeah, run on the court.
I knew you would say that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, but how is that stupid though? I don't understand.
It's
How is it
regular
upset?
season.
Because it's regular season.
Regular
That's why.
season.
So all right, let me just get this straight because I don't want to get confused here. You're saying that because Syracuse beat Duke in the regular season, upsets have happened before. Upsets happen. That's what makes the game great. Upsets. So to have a team, an unranked team, beat a ranked team,
And
that's
that
what you
ranked
wanna
team
see.
being Duke.
Right, and that's what you want to see. Take out the fact that there's a lot of Duke haters. Obviously, you're a Duke fan. There's a lot of Duke haters. Take out that fact altogether. The fact of the matter is, when you have a game with an unranked team
You're just
and a
saying that 'cause
ranked
you don't
team,
like Duke to win.
and the dog wins, that's what makes college basketball.
I agree. So I'm saying yes. I'm agreeing with you, Dwayne. I'm saying yes. When an upset like that happens, it's like if the Browns were to beat the Patriots in Foxborough on a last-second Hail Mary. I want to see every Cleveland fan at Gillette Stadium rush that field. Because you know what? It probably will never happen.
And look, Boeheim knows this. Boeheim knows he's only 3 games above 500. He knows that he has to get signature wins to get into the tournament. So he's been here before. He's not this newbie guy that's just been into coaching NCAA basketball. He knows how to rally the troops, if you will, to get these guys to push to the next step, which is the postseason.
Rush the
because
field.
they're
Rush the
not
court.
More than likely they may not win the conference because their conference goes through conference playoffs.
They got to do the ACC tournament.
Right. And they've been known to, even though they've had a low seed in the past, they've been known to win that conference even though they had a low seed. But he knows that if in the event that he doesn't win that conference, he needs to get signature wins to get into the postseason.
Okay.
If Rhode Island beat Duke and they want to storm the court, all right, I don't have a problem with that. You're Syracuse. You're in the NCAA tournament every year. NCAA championships. You've got it. You've got one of the all-time winningest coaches in the history of college basketball in Jim Boeheim.
Right.
You're not like, I'm not saying that you're on the same level as Duke because Duke has more championships.
Right.
But you're like second tier. It's not like you're way at the bottom. I look at it more, all the problems that have happened from court storming, altercations, because kids just don't want to storm the court. They want to get up in the coach's face of the other team and start problems. There's altercations,
which
with
happened
players.
the other day with Rick Pitino.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So things happen now that maybe didn't used to happen when kids stormed the court, because before it used to be about just storming the court. Now you want to get up in players' faces and start, talking smack, get up in the coaches' faces and bump them, and that's where problems have happened due to court storming.
And look, and I'm gonna
cheerleader of the other team.
Look,
Jeez.
And I'm going to tell you this right now. I agree with you in that aspect. I'm kind of an old school guy in the terms of, look, if you have an upset, if you're a team and you upset a ranked team, play like, it's okay to celebrate and all that. That's great. Now, storming the field storming the court, I think and trying to stick it to the other team, I think that's a different story. And I agree with you, Frank. Look, if you get a key win, just pretend like you've been there before. Celebrate. That's all good. But in terms of sticking it to or cut down the net, do what you want, especially if you're home. But, sticking it to the other team, I think that's probably something that should not have happened.
Wow, I didn't know this was going to be a heated debate.
No, but
Jeez.
well, I mean, not so much that it's heated, but the fact that I do agree with you because Syracuse, you got to, and look, we're talking about two historic programs, if you will. Syracuse, to me, is analogous to Duke. So, and again, I agree with you.
Syracuse
if a Rhode
is what?
Island or a Southeastern
Hold on,
Louisiana or a Lamar.
Time out. Syracuse is what? What was the word you used?
Analogous in terms of historic programs.
He did
what?
it again.
Wait, what
He
word?
did it again. No, this is what Dwayne does. You have never been experienced
Well,
to
look,
this.
well, look,
Hold on.
I understand.
Hold on, Webster.
No, wait,
this
let me
is what
finish.
Dwayne does.
Let me finish.
Once a week, Dwayne puts in this word, and you just hear it, and you're like, wait, what did he say?
Wait, look, I understand the fact that Duke.
What was the wait? What
Duke
was
is
that
probably, word? If you're looking at a pedestal, Duke is above Syracuse. But in terms of if you're lumping up the top tier programs, I mean, Syracuse.
I want to know what that word is.
Duke?
Hold on a second. What word was that?
Is Syracuse not a historic program?
Yes, they are.
Jim Boeheim.
But
one of
what
the
was
best
that word you
coaches.
threw in there?
Jim Boeheim.
Analogous?
Yeah.
Well, look.
What does that mean?
What does
That
it
means
mean?
on the same level, so to speak.
Thank you.
thank
In terms
you.
of
That's all we wanted. We just
okay.
wanted to know what the definition of the
Oh,
word
okay,
was.
all right, all
Now
Okay.
another edition
Okay.
of Words with Dwayne Linden. This week's word,
But here's the deal.
analogous.
Here's the deal. You have two great coaches. No one can dispute that those two coaches are analogous. Have the same. Jim Boeheim and Krzyzewski are top 10, the top 10 winningest coaches ever. So these two programs are the same to me. So Syracuse kind of storming the court and acting all crazy, sticking it to Duke. I don't agree with that. As for the upset in and of itself, that's what college basketball is all about.
I think we found a new segment for Dwayne
We
each
did.
week. Words with Dwayne Lindo. And then we'll record a clip of you saying a sentence was sports related, like
Like, well, what he did.
what he did, and be like, and now another edition of
Thank you.
Words with Dwayne Lindo.
He used to do this all the time. I'm surprised. This is the first time that I've heard Dwayne, and I don't pick it up right away because when Dwayne gets in such a focused mode, he's very much like me. The man is just going, and he spits the word out, and like 2 seconds later, I'm like, hold on. What did you just say?
I can see it now. It'll start with like some violins, like dun, 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 dun,
Yes.
So I have my own open.
Yes.
That's awesome.
like
that's
yeah,
awesome.
like dun, 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 dun. And now another
jeez.
edition of Words with Dwayne Lindo.
That is awesome.
Wow. It went there.
It went there.
Which is
And we're going to keep it there,
which is
too.
interesting.
I'm going to
Which is
record it
interesting.
after the show. I'm going to get your intro done. I'm going to do the voiceover and everything.
That's going to be hilarious.
Man, oh man.
All right,
I'll tell you what's going to be even more hilarious.
What?
Duke losing in the third round of the tournament. That's going to even be
Third
more hilarious.
round.
Well,
Of the
I mean,
ACC
obviously-
tournament
obviously
or the-
yeah, I'm just
Of the
obviously I
ACC tournament
jest.
or the big one?
the
Or
big
the
one?
bracket?
I mean the
Big one.
tournament.
Sweet
yeah.
16.
Yeah, sweet. Well, and I was
You said third round, so that's Sweet 16.
Well, yeah, I understand that, but what I was saying is that was a little bit of a joke because obviously we don't know who's matching up with who.
Wouldn't it be
It's all
funny
about
if Duke
matchups,
and Syracuse
but,
were
I'm
matched
just
up
trying
in the
to
third
rib
round?
Mr. L. Bushman there. So
It'll
that's all I was
be
trying to do.
analogous.
That would be funny if Duke and Syracuse somehow got to make it to the Sweet 16 and they played each other again.
Oh, that would be epic. That would be epic.
That would be
analogous.
that would be huge. Anyhow, we're gonna take our leave here. Thank y'all for chiming in, tuning in with us as always. This has been an amazing, great show. We're back here in the studio at Co-Work Florida on Tuesday, 6 p.m. Make sure you check us out. For Dwayne Lindo, the factual Frank, the great Al Bushman, this is your man, Eric Wilson. And until then, we have taken you to a whole nother level. We'll see y'all next time.
Chief, mate, what do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
Autobots, transform.